Family recipe.
Today on Family Recipe Radio, we have an interview with tonight. What am I talking about today? Tonight! This is a nocturnal show only. Real creepers only up in here, alright? If you have seen the sun, I don't even want to look at you. You're gonna give me a sunburn by proxy. I can't have that. My beautiful moon white skin. I'm not I don't have any Italian. I don't have any olive tones in my skin. No. I'm a member of the master race of satire. Okay. Tonight, I have an interview with Destiny. Some of her paranormal encounters in Atlanta and just overall the Appalachian area. She gets into some Appalachian lore, which I had no idea she knew so much about that, but I shouldn't be surprised, I guess, seeing as she grew up around there. So, our story begins with an abandoned nuclear plant in the woods and a homemade Ouija board. So, let's take it away. Let's hear from Destiny. Okay.
There's this place, it's Dawson Forest. If you've lived in North Georgia ever, or like in the area, you know that it's like full of all of this spooky stuff. One big thing that happened in the 90s is this boy named Levi Frady went missing. Before Amber Alerts happened, a lot of states had like their own like regional Amber Alert, and we had this thing called Code Levi because of this boy named Levi Frady who went missing. And, like, he went missing in 1997, I think, and a lot of my friends growing up had connections to this little boy. Like, people's families knew him. He was, like, older than most of us, and I think he was, like, 9 or 10 when he went missing, but he went missing in Dawson Forest, or he was found in Dawson Forest, like, the day after he went missing. So he was really famous because of one, where he was found, and all of like the spooky stuff that went on in Dawson Forest, and just I think North Georgia in general has a lot of like, I don't know, carryover from Appalachian culture where it's all really spooky and creepy and people love an urban legend. So a lot of people just knew him, and we always talked about it, and like he wasn't the only thing in Dawson Forest that we all heard about that was spooky. We all had spooky interactions. But one day we decided that we were going to go and see if we could figure out who hurt Levi Frady, like what happened to Levi, because he was just such a huge part of like our childhoods and stuff. So one day we're like, this is before we're 21. I think I was 20 and most of my friends were like 18, 19, and like one of my friends was like 24. But we were just trying to find something to do on a Friday night. So we decided to go to Walmart in Dawsonville, and we were all just like trying to hang out in North Georgia because it's spooky, I guess. I think it was like fall time, like a little bit before Halloween, so we were just trying to feel the vibes. And we went to Walmart and like we asked the sales associates if we could have a cardboard box, and they were like, no, you can go into the dumpster and find one.
What? I feel like that. Come on, they could have given you a cardboard box.
I know.
Smooth things out a lot. That's crazy.
I think this was like during my hippie phase, so I think I was barefoot, and I think they just like wanted me to leave.
Oh yeah.
So I think they were like, "Please put shoes on. Also go to the dumpster, like you little barefoot monster."
I can tell by those feet you've been in the dumpster already today. So just go back out there.
Yeah. So we went to the dumpster and we got a Ouija board. We bought some big Sharpies, and we went to the Taco Bell really close by because cheap food, whatever. We're young and we like want bean burrito or whatever. And we decided to make a Ouija board out of this cardboard box and a Sharpie in a Taco Bell. And all the like teenagers working at this Taco Bell were like, I don't want any part of this juju. Like, this is messed up. They like gave us free stuff and asked us to leave.
Nice.
So I had to finish the Ouija board in my friend's car in the parking lot, and like everybody was just mad at us for doing this. But I made the Ouija board. We like cut out like a planchet with like a X-Acto blade or something, and like made the Ouija board, huddled the mass that we had. I think we had like 10 kids or something that we like gathered that day, and we drove out to Dawson Forest to this like weird cement platform. Like Dawson Forest, because it was a nuclear site, has like all of these weird structures. Like nobody really knows what any of them are for. It's technically closed. I think it might be illegal to be back there after the sun goes down. It is a campground, but like I think like all of the structures are technically like barred from like public access.
Yeah.
But we went back there. We found this like really, really cool structure, and we could all sit on it. And it was like a kind of stormy night, like windy before a thunderstorm, not raining yet, but very windy and like very spooky. And also like kind of chilly or whatever. And we're all like children of religion. Like there's like, I'm like raised Southern Baptist, like there's like Mormons, like we're all just like not really in belief that like there's gonna actually be anything that happens, because we all believed in like Jesus or whatever, like he was gonna keep us safe. But like
Yeah, you had that. Yeah, Jesus force field.
Yeah, like
at all
we
times.
just really didn't think anything was gonna happen. We were just kind of like playing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get out there, and one of our friends is really into like some sort of like witchcraft or something. So like he's like, we have to have a salt circle, we have to have candles. And he, I guess, had gotten like tea lights when we were like scrounging in the dumpster. And, like,
Smart move.
Yeah, and like salt and stuff, so he could like make sure we were like protected, I guess. I don't really know. He's like the older one, so he's like raised out of the religion at this point.
Yeah, last time I tried this, I had several years of possession. So
Yeah.
I always have tea lights and salt now.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but like that's what we did. So he like set it all up, and he was like, okay, like, and he had like these like weird little cups that he was using as votives. They were like plastic. I think he got them from Taco Bell. It was like a very silly sight. And then we all decided to like sit in a circle. And again, there's like a lot of us. So like we're all trying to like be in a circle with our hands on the planchet or whatever. And like we all managed to make it happen because I guess we were, I remember us all being really tiny. But like we all just kind of like were sitting like on our knees, like leaning very forward. And we realized, and like I don't know much about Ouija boards, but like we realized that like because it was made out of cardboard, if you pushed it, you could hear the scrape of the cardboard against the cardboard.
Yeah.
And we were like, all right, cool. So like if anybody's pushing it, we like know you guys are lying or whatever.
Right.
And like we were like, we all, close our eyes, and we were like, hey, is Levi anywhere? And like the planchet moves and we can't hear it at all. Like it just like glides across, like no scratching noise at all. And it goes to no. And we were like, okay, are you sure? And they were like, yes, like straight to yes.
Whoa.
And it was moving like really fast. And we were like, all right, well, like who is here? And it spelled out go and like Geo. And we were like, that's not an option. So, like, what's up?
Oh, man.
What's going on? And, like, we basically were like, who is here? And it just kept, like, going to, like, no, and then spelling out, like, go. And we were like, we would really like...
No. It's like the, oh man, yeah. I'm once again asking you,
Yeah.
please don't make me go. Yeah.
We were like, can you please, like, somebody talk to us, like, who's out there? And then the planchette flies away. Like, it flies in the wind, flies away, and all of the, like, candles go out.
Oh
and
my
we
God.
hear laughing, like, cackling in the background, and, like, a little boy screams, help me. And, like, all of us freaked out. Absolutely lost our minds. Like, we were like, okay.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, like we were like, we have to go. It's time. So like we all like, I think we all drove collectively like maybe 3 cars. And so like we all packed everything up. I left the Ouija board, but I brought the planchette because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I think I heard you were supposed to bring both or something and then burn them. But I did not do that. So, like, we all pack everything up. We leave the candles, we leave the salt, and we leave the Ouija board, and I have the planchette with me. And we just, like, book it out of there. And, like, somebody gets a flat tire on the way out, and, like, randomly, like, they had just got new tires. Like, there was, like, no reason for them to have a flat tire. So they got a flat tire, and, like, we get out of, like, the area of Dawson Forest and like onto like this like street that's like really rural or whatever, and like somebody has a flat tire, somebody had handprints on the side of their car.
You were all in like different cars?
Yeah, there were like 3
there was
cars.
a fleet? Okay, I
yeah,
see.
there were 3 cars, and like because there were so many of us, like I
Yeah.
think there was like 3 people in each, and like one had 4.
Oh, I didn't
maybe.
realize how many there
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
That changes my whole like imagination of this.
We like really gathered like a group of homies. We were all like really young, so
Yeah.
like we just like had nothing better to do, and like there weren't any
Yeah.
like parties or anything. So we were
I'm
like,
surprised you hadn't done this like before then.
well, we
I feel
had done like other stuff. Like we've gone
Okay.
camping and stuff in Dawson Forest. We had just like never played around with a Ouija
Yeah,
board
yeah.
in Dawson Forest. Like there's also like a bunch of really crazy instances where we would try to go camping, but like somebody's like car would just like break down when we were like driving out there. Like we were just like barred
weird.
like spiritually or something from like being
you haven't
able to get
achieved the right like
Yeah.
spiritual power level to enter.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
And like there was like a lot of us were just kind of too afraid to go out there. So like we just like being like religion or not, like we were just too afraid to go out there and like open a portal or whatever.
Yeah.
So we just didn't ever do it. And then one night we just like all had like a lot of blind confidence and decided to go
Right.
out there. And like none of us, I did end up like destroying the planchette or whatever, but like, and I think somebody did end up going back and like finding the Ouija board, which had like blown into the woods.
Yeah.
And like none of us have any idea what happened. Like, but like I have lost contact with most of those people, but like recently within the last like 2 years, I've reached out to somebody that was there that night and they were like, yeah, that was crazy. Like you didn't imagine any of that. Like,
No, that
was
sounds
insane.
It's very cinematic. I've never actually had like a good Ouija board story out of all of my friends who have been just viciously haunted for their whole lives. I don't know. Surprisingly, the Ouija stuff hasn't really come up, but that is so crazy.
Yeah, well, like my understanding of Ouija boards now is that like they're not really. It's supposed to be like internal dialogue with yourself. Like they were made to be talking boards, so you could like basically like talk to your subconscious or something. I don't really know, but my understanding is they're not supposed to like open a portal to like another realm or whatever. But because of that
Yeah.
experience, like I have a really hard time believing that they don't, because like there were 10 of us and like we all heard
Yeah.
the same thing, like just like laughing and screaming and like help me.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's probably already a portal open there, considering all the radiation experiments and stuff that were happening for years. All right, here's some backstory on the actual nuclear site itself. It was named the Georgia Nuclear Aircraft Laboratory. It was a nuclear testing site that opened in 1958 with the sole purpose of trying to create an aircraft that utilized nuclear energy, which, as you can imagine, would pose a lot of issues, but we'll get into that later. Okay, so during the operation, they exposed various building materials, plant life, even the surrounding forest, and animals to insane radiation levels just to study and see what they could build. And just, yeah, to me, it was one of the more strange testing sites of the nuclear age, and they contracted the Air Force out to it. Anyway, so the military actually was trying to create a nuclear-powered aircraft since about 1946, and they continued until 1961. The project was closed, and they actually put about $1 billion into the whole ordeal, which today is over $10 billion. So they were really, really determined to make this thing work. So anyway, in 1957, Lockheed bought the Dawson Woods in order to launch a project called the Aircraft Nuclear Propulsion Program. Now, the entire laboratory, it's a whole complex. As you can imagine, there's lots of equipment that is involved with nuclear radiation. So they built a whole complex. There was 3 major buildings: the nuclear support facility, the reactor equipment facility, and the shielding demonstration facility. Most importantly, the nuclear reactor itself was housed underground beneath a 2-story building made entirely out of stainless steel, which is kind of crazy. Okay, around this building, there was a circular clearing with a radius of 3,600 feet, shielded by really, really, really thick walls dubbed the lethal fence. So the reactor would be raised out of the ground until it was suspended 200 feet in the air, so they could radiate everything in this clearing around, which is, I don't know, it's just, is that not kind of crazy? A floating nuclear reactor that they can just push anything into this, like, death zone? And they did push a lot of stuff into the death zone. They pushed various aircraft building material, wood, they put animals in there, probably people in there. A lot of these things are still classified, but you know some unlucky soul got radiated. So basically they kept trying for years and years and years, and this really obviously freaked the local population out. The whole site was said to, like, emit this fiery orange glow at night, which, that is just ridiculous. This is straight out of, like, an 80s B movie. Just the glowing nuclear site with unmarked vans, like, constantly coming and going. So pretty scary, but ultimately the whole nuclear aircraft thing didn't work out, obviously. You know, we all know this. The idea of a nuclear reactor inside of an airplane is just, there's too many problems. How are you going to cool it down? How are you going to save the crew from being melted to death? And if it crashes, you're just going to have, like, a little fallout zone in some poor guy's farm. And speaking of farms, like, flying over a bunch of crops, just slightly blasting it with radiation, and then, oh, old Farmer Joe happens to walk out of his barn and look up, and then BAM! He got zapped. Just by looking at the steam or whatever that's coming out of this plane. I don't really know how this works. So anyway, clearly the experiment didn't pan out. But the site remained open for a while, and they started to basically try to make money in other ways. And one of the ways they did this is they would take wood and pass it through the radiation zone, which the way they did this was actually they had a whole little trolley system, a small railway, and they would just put stuff just on these little carts and just pass it, like, by the reactor in that clearing I was talking about earlier. The trolley would continue into this this room that you could basically disassemble stuff with these giant robotic arms. You'd sit in a booth and control these, like, huge robotic arms, and so you could study stuff, what was happening. So anyway, they did this thing where they took wood and they radiated it and basically created this stuff called Lockwood, named after, Lockheed. And it was just super hard wood that was, like, resistant to warping and shrinkage, which I had never heard of this. I wonder why it's not around anymore. They also tried to sell Cobalt 50, which didn't really work out because this whole thing wasn't designed to deal with Cobalt 50, so they found, like, traces of it everywhere. There was a story about, I think they were just bringing, like, normal bricks out, and they found out the bricks were just, like, dusted with Cobalt 50, so they were highly radioactive. Anyway, so surprisingly, after all this, the whole site is pretty much safe to go into, except for if you go into the actual radiation building, but don't worry about that. That's all cleared off. Anyway, just wanted to give some backstory. I think it's very fascinating. I don't know about any of you guys, but when they would carry these, these dead animals away, they'd be like, it would kill all the bacteria like in their bodies, so they would be like instantly preserved, kind of. They wouldn't decay like normally because they were so heavily radiated. And yeah, it's kind of dark, but it's cool. There's not like a lot of info on it. Sadly, a lot of it's still classified. To me, it seems like the MK Ultra of like nuclear tests. Like they were just getting really, really weird with it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of like older people that worked for Lockheed. Like my mom worked for Lockheed for a while at a different location, like more South Georgia, but like closer to the city. And because I was raised in the city, I was not like raised in North Georgia, but like they weren't like, even as an employee, my understanding is my mom had access to a lot of information, but even as an employee with a lot of access to information at a different location, she wasn't allowed to know what was going on up there. And there are like older people that live in Dawsonville, like grandparents of some of my friends, that like basically alluded to like a lot of really messed up stuff that was going on there, and like talked about like the radiation being really terrible and wondering why like more people in the area didn't have cancer.
Yeah, I'm surprised that wasn't like a massive deal.
Yeah.
There's a river like right next to it too, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, I think it's really close to the Chattahoochee, but also I don't know if it's the I used to swim in that river all the time. I think it's the Chattahoochee, but I might be wrong.
Oh, you are hovering at like 2 feet off the ground right now, so maybe maybe you did get zapped a little bit.
Maybe I am pretty weird. But there was this place really close, like technically still in Dawson Forest, called the Edge of the World, which was like technically in like a state park, but like it was like past the park parameters, closer, like deeper in the forest that we all used to go swimming at. Nothing really weird ever happened there, but like we definitely did some like underage things that we weren't supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we went there like every weekend growing up because there were just like big rocks you could like bask in and stuff.
I love big rocks.
Yeah, I also love a big rock. And like there was one time where I found like a 2-headed frog in the river.
Oh, cool.
So like I do know, and it's something we did learn about. Like I was primarily homeschooled, so like I learned about the 2-headed frogs and like some of the mutations that were going on in North Georgia. And that's not just because, to my understanding, not just because of Dawson Forest, it's because of like some other stuff that was also going on in like Tennessee. There's just like a lot of pollution in the area.
Right.
And also just like infrastructure issues and stuff too going on in North Georgia. It's like historically a very poor area. I think all of Appalachia kind of is. But like I learned a lot about like 2-headed frogs and just like different mutated animals. Like there's albino deer. There are deer with like multiple hooves on one leg, from like what I learned when I was a kid. And it's definitely like a really weird area scientifically. Like outside of like paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Just like the hard evidence of the existence of a nuclear site is there. Like it's very like Stranger Things coded up there, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Albino deer would be so cool. Did you ever see one?
No,
or you just
I
heard
wish.
About it?
We would just hear about it all the time. Like, because hunting is such a big deal up there too.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you have any friends who hunted, like they saw it.
Whoa.
And like nobody wanted to kill it. Like there were people that would like joke about it, about like getting the albino deer and like, you know, mounting it or whatever. But like
no, don't do it. That's a curse. That's a curse for many generations.
Yeah, it's a curse, but also it's just like super disrespectful. Like
yeah.
It's same like you're not gonna kill an albino deer. You're also not gonna kill like a pregnant deer. Like it's kind of the same thing. Like two sides of the same coin. North Georgia, Appalachia, like basically the entire East Coast is full of lore. Like anyone who's on TikTok.
Yeah, right. I've seen like the Skinwalker's back.
Yeah, like there's like people, you know, there are Bigfoot sightings out there too, apparently. There's there's a bunch of really crazy stuff. But the craziest thing is Lake Lanier. Like, I think Lake Lanier is having kind of like a resurgence in popularity right now because I think just spooky stuff in general is kind of having a resurgence. But like, all of my algorithms are showing me Lake Lanier content right now.
It's a scary name, too.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
a man-made lake by any chance?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So Lake Lanier is the largest man-made lake in the world, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. It was, it's basically a reservoir that was made in the 50s, I believe, to be a reservoir for Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky. And if there's ever any drought in the area, like there's like water rights wars and stuff like that. So it's like a very important part of just like the culture, and like we really need it there. But like it was a town, like it was a poor black town from my understanding, and like a bunch of people in poverty lived there, and like my understanding is that they didn't really give the community very much notice before they evacuated people. Also, like the nature of people being really connected to land, like a lot of people just chose to stay. So it's kind of a graveyard, and like I've heard a lot growing up, like I've heard a lot of stuff about like it being like a voodoo spiritual site. It's like just really important. It's like a really important site for like people of color in the area to just like go and like pay respects to their ancestors, and like also just like it's just a hub for insane stuff all the time. I personally will not swim in Lake Lanier. I'm afraid of it. I'm actually afraid of lakes now because of Lake Lanier. Like I just like.
Thanks, Lake Lanier. You've really ruined all lakes for me.
Yeah. Well, also like they didn't give it enough time for the ecosystem and balance out before it became a tourist destination. So like when I was in elementary school, we did this like field trip thing where we like tested the bacteria in Lake Lanier. And it's disgusting. It's like it's a sewage lake. It's just gross. It's so bad.
This
and
isn't
like
even like a cool content. This is just pure evil.
Yeah, it gets better though. But like I just like will not get in there. It's really, 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 really gross. And like also like every year somebody dies unexplainably. Like
oh my God.
Every year. Like I think I've been out here now for 8 years, but before I moved, I think the last big one that I remember was like, I think it was like Ludacris.
He died?
Like, no.
Ludacris died?
Ludacris died. No. I don't remember if it was like Ludacris was out there with family or if it just like happened to be like connected that this was Ludacris's family. But like his cousin or something died, was like swimming in the lake and like died. And like
they just have no idea.
They have no idea what happened.
Oh.
I personally have friends who like were like lifeguards swimming on the lake, like very, very good swimmers that were just like pulled down and like died. I've had friends that like were like sitting on the pier and like allegedly pulled down and died. And like it happens all the time. And like it's like people that I know. Also, like when I was a little kid, I think the last time that I went swimming in Lake Lanier, I was like maybe like 8 or something, and I was wearing a life jacket, and I remember feeling like hands on my foot, like pulling me down. We were on a pontoon boat, like catfishing or something, and we like basically stopped in the middle because something that you do, I don't know if this is like commonplace, but like when you're fishing for catfish, you like put out like milk jugs and like connect like chicken to them so the catfish go, and then like there's a hook on the chicken thing, and like the cat, and then you see the milk jug like moving around, and then you like chase them with a pontoon boat, and then you catch them by like getting the milk jug out of the water or whatever. So like one day I was out with my redneck uncles, and like they like put out a bunch of milk jugs, and we were like in the middle of it waiting, and like they were like, okay, like you guys can swim or whatever while we're here, like it's fine. Like we had life jackets on because it gets pretty deep. Like it was old towns, and like we're in like the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in North Georgia, like where Lake Lanier is. And so like I'm like wearing my life jacket, totally safe, just kind of like flailing around, playing with my sisters or whatever. And then like something like grabs my feet and starts trying to pull me under. And I'm wearing a life jacket. So like I like start getting pulled under, and like my uncles were like, like no, because they're like from this area. They've been there their whole lives. Like they're like trained to look and make sure like none of the spooky stuff happens. So they like one of my uncles like jumped in and like grabbed me and like pulled me into the boat and was like, Not today.
Yeah, the Lake Linear monster is not eating you today.
Yeah,
That's
and
insane.
like there's like all of this lore about like bus-sized catfish in that lake because like again like we're like close to like this like irradiated area and also like this area that was like towns that were flooded. Like there's no telling in the 50s what people had in their homes chemical wise. Like
No.
there's also like not been enough time. I mean like we're talking 50 years. 50 years is like I think it's like 50 years is the time you're supposed to give a body of water before it's like ecologically sound enough to be safe to swim in, and like that was never given to that lake. And
They
immediately
just filled it up
yeah,
and just were like, come on in,
yeah,
grand
and like
opening.
yeah,
That's
and like
insane.
boats are on it. We're like pumping sewage into it, like all of this stuff. So like there's obviously crazy animals in this lake. Like it's disgusting.
Yeah, definitely. Some
Yeah.
mutation.
And it's also a graveyard. Like anybody who like knows anything and like is from the area is going to tell you crazy stuff about like their ancestors like being flooded out or whatever, or like knowing someone who was flooded out. And like it's insane. Like people just like go missing all the time on the lake. People get pulled under the lake. Like those were hands on my feet. Like I like
Yeah.
it's been like 20 years, but like those were
No,
hands.
I'm sure you have felt weeds tickling your feet and stuff
yeah.
before. Like,
And like nothing is gonna like no animal is gonna like pull in a lake is gonna pull a child's foot under without causing some sort of injury to the foot at least.
no, yeah, they're gonna chomp down on it unless it was
Yeah.
the giant catfish and the giant catfish has hands somehow.
I mean maybe.
It could be.
Radiation is a hell of a drug, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. Like there's no part of me that disbelieves that there are like people's hands like pulling you under, and like they're now that like Lake Lanier is having this like crazy heyday, like TikTok is like kind of all over the place with it. And I think because I'm in North Georgia and because like I like love that content because it's happened to me, like people are like telling their own stories about like kids being pulled down or like people feeling feet or whatever. So I know I'm not the only one. But there's also like bridges across it where like if you stop in the middle of the night, like you can get pushed across and you'll find like tiny little handprints on your car.
Whoa.
And like crazy stuff like that. So it's like absolutely insane just like across the board.
All right. We decided to consult the Oracle Wikipedia to find out more about Lake Linear and its history.
Okay, so first of all, it was it's kind of crazy. It was named after a Confederate veteran and poet named Sidney Lanier. It was built. Really, Lake Lanier was built because Buford Dam needed to be. Basically, Buford Dam was built for damming the Chattahoochee River, and it flooded an area called Oscarville, which is a primarily black community. And it was started I guess it was authorized by 1946, completed by 1956. My understanding is that it does deliver water to all the states that I mentioned, but it was originally built just to be water for Atlanta. But then there's also this really interesting story, and the hands in the bridge is my understanding of like the manifestation of the Lady of the Lake.
Okay.
So like I was just talking about how like in the middle of the night you can stop on a bridge. I think it's a bridge or like it's like a part of Highway 53 or something like that. I'm not sure. But you stop there and like your car, you put it in neutral and your car gets pushed and then you can find like little handprints on your car or whatever. And I was always told that was the Lady of the Lake, but apparently the Lady of the Lake is actually this 1958 accident where two women died after their car plunged into a lake, and then later on a body was found, thought to be one of these women, and she was found with missing hands and toes. And maybe the catfish ate her hands and toes.
Little niblets.
But I also don't think that the catfish were that big at this point. So, because this is like 1958. This is like a year
it
after
took a generation
it was
for
completed.
them to become 30 feet long. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, exactly. And this was like technically overnight. And then decades later, Susie's car was found. And that's when the Lady of the Lake legend became a thing. So, it's crazy. I think it's really something that I do hear a lot about, especially from like Black people in the community of Atlanta and like in North Georgia, is that like it's really unsafe to go there, and it's because like it's cursed intentionally, and that like it's a really, really, really special site for a lot of people, specifically Black people that are descendants of people of Oscarville, which is partially the reason I don't really swim in it too, because like I grew up like, one, knowing that it's freaking gross, two, knowing like a bunch of people's friends and family who have died, and losing like friends myself that have died there, but also like it just like feels bad to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go swimming and have like a bunch of fun in this place, one, that like somebody tried to pull me under, but two, that like
It's just insanely tragic, like since the very beginning.
Yeah, like just like people, like not only did we like enslave a bunch of people, but then we also like displaced them by like flooding their homes or whatever in the name of like recreation and I guess like water supply, which I guess water supply is like a good reason to do things, but like I mean
It just did it all wrong. There's a way to do that correctly.
Yeah. Like not flooding an entire community of like Black people who are just now trying to recover from like something terrible we did to them. So
are you saying the area was like cursed purposefully as some kind of like revenge or like defense, magical defense kind of thing? Or
I mean, I think so. That's what I was told by some people. I think that like it would be silly to assume otherwise of like anywhere of that like was like full of people being displaced that like were already oppressed heavily, but also outside of that, just like people's homes. Like you don't, something that I've like recently learned about from my mom is the connection to land that people have, especially in the South. I think that that's not really like as common here. But people get really attached to land. Like people are dead in the land, like their bones are in the land. And I think that like whether you believe in paranormal stuff or not, whether you believe in an afterlife or not, I think it's really irresponsible to assume that like there is bones in the ground and there aren't still some of like people's energy and like soul stuff going on there. Like,
yeah, of course.
I'm not a very spiritual person, so I'm like soul stuff.
I mean, you basically got it right. Yeah. Soul stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
I don't know.
energy or whatever you want to call it. Like, I just don't think that it's responsible to assume that that's not like the deep connection that people have because their family members exist, like their body parts exist still in the ground there. And also like some people died being flooded out from what I understand. So like,
yeah,
I mean, when you talk about like flooding out entire communities, like you think about like the old people that like couldn't leave, and think about the fact that like this is like before the internet too. Like, and I'm sure there was like maybe some warning given, but I mean, in the 1950s, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe
like,
not. I mean, there could have just been like a big speaker in town that they were like, we're flooding it, get out. Like something like that. Or some very like, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of warning, basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and too, like, again, like people have such an intense connection to like where they grew up and like where they're growing food and like their sustenance is connected to this land. Like, I just think that like it's impossible for there not to be like a lot of people that like have intentionally or not like have like ill intent towards people who utilize this space for fun or whatever else.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no way that energetically like can ever end up good. I was just mostly curious if there was some kind of like legend or whatever about people purposefully kind of directing it, you know, magical energy towards that place, but I guess we don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I've definitely heard growing up like from people different things, but I mean, I grew up Southern Baptist and white. So like there's like only so much information that I'm going to get from specifically the Black community who like practices other religions as I do. But like I definitely did hear about, you know, hoodoo specifically being a thing that was practiced on Lake Lanier, and I still like TikTok is still feeding me stuff about that being a thing. And like I see content about it. I still see like some of my like Facebook feed, like people I like grew up with, you know, talking
Right.
about like different like stuff that they do or like stuff that their family did on the shores of Lake Lanier, and like again like non-practicing, so like I don't really
Yeah.
understand anything about what's going on there, but like it is, from what I understand, like a very sacred site for a lot
Yeah.
of people, because a lot of people do have family that was buried in Oscarville, and like also like have connections, however distant, with people of Oscarville. And like I think that like specifically like there are people that have historically had really really ill intent, and I don't blame anyone who like would curse people and the descendants of people,
Of course not.
for doing what they did.
I'm totally I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, do I know of like any specific people who have cursed anyone? No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I just do think, and like any, like pretty much everyone I know that isn't arrogant acknowledges that there's probably like some sort of really, really, really intense spiritual stuff going on in the lake, and it should not be tampered with at all.
Yeah, I would not go there.
Yeah, I think the last time I was at Lake Lanier was like 2020, and I went to like eat some shrimp with my family, and on like this place that we used to go to when I was a kid that like happened to still be open. Like we like sat outside, and like that day ended up being the worst day of my entire life. And like I put my toes in.
Maybe I can get over almost being dragged under, I guess.
Yeah.
And you're just like, bam! No!
Yeah, yeah,
I'll throw
totally.
you down.
Like my
Yeah.
parents were like, it's like not a big deal, like whatever. Like, you know, you're from this land too, like you deserve to like be able to like enjoy it at least a little bit. And there is like a picture that exists of me in like one of those like big, you know, they have like the Adirondack chairs at like all these tourist destinations or whatever that like say the things. There's a picture of me at Lake Lanier in front of the water in one of those Adirondack chairs. And like I like I'm not gonna get into my trauma, but that is like that day is the reason I live here now, like this far
Wow.
away. Like I like moved back for a little bit and like came back because of that day. And like I fully blame that I like dipped my toes into Lake Lanier, that my life was forever changed. Like I think like if we hadn't done that, I think my life would look very, very different right now. Like no regrets, but like
Yeah.
I touched the water and it, you know, lashed back with like the wrath of 1,000 suns, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I never knew that. I never knew that. I feel like every time I talk to you, there's like one piece of the lore puzzle gets dropped in place, and I'm like, yeah, it just gets more and more fascinating. That's wild.
Yeah. Don't even touch the water of Lake Lanier.
I think I'll just have a little sip. I think I'll just have a little drink.
Yeah. Well, also, like, something that I just thought of that I've never thought of before is, like, Lake Lanier, like, is the water source for so much of Georgia. And, like, there's so many, like, I really think there might be something, like, about the water system of Georgia and, like, the descendants of people who flooded Lake Lanier and, like, how their lives are going. And, like, how... like, a lot of people die, like, in weird ways in Georgia, I think. Like, a lot of my family has died kind of unexpectedly, like, in weird ways. And I think it's because, like, of the curse of Lake Lanier. And, like, they're drinking the water. Man, it's in the water.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some people do believe that water can, like, store all kinds of memories and stuff. I was friends with this, one of my friends a few years ago, she would do this thing where she would, like, get a glass of water in the morning, and then she would, like, basically talk to the water glass and be like, today I'm gonna like, this is gonna happen today. And she would drink it, and I don't know if it ever worked, but...
Yeah, there's that, like, weird water experiment. They actually talked about this in my church, where, like, the guy with, like, the labels, he, like, put, like, positive
Oh, yeah, and he's like, bad water, and it was, like, all full of, mold and algae and stuff.
Yeah.
They've done that a lot. They've done that with plants and stuff, too, and, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to try it because I don't want to be mean to a plant, but I am curious. Like, I do want some firsthand experience, but I would just feel so bad being like, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you. Just like, I don't know, a little cactus or something. Like, no. I can't do that. I'll go to, the shadow realm forever if I do that.
Yeah. They're just like innocent little babies. I can't do that either. Like, I have a lot of plants, as you know. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't be mean to them. They're such sweet little angels. But I also
no.
don't want to talk mean to water. That just
no.
just being mean for no reason seems interesting. Like an interesting
just for an
choice.
experiment. Like it's just like, hey, honey, I'm home. I need to do an experiment. Then you just start like berating your partner. It's like, how does that make you feel? Do you feel bad now? Do you think it's because you're mostly made of water? I'm trying to do this water experiment. Yeah. But no, water can store vibes, I think. Bad vibes and good vibes.
Yeah.
And you've just been exposed to some of the most evil water in the world. Or, I mean, the most troubled water in the world.
Yeah. How do we break curses? How do we break generational curses?
I don't know. I think you just have to wait it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. How do you do that? I feel like I've been trying to do that.
You're put in timeout, and then it's like, don't do anything bad for the rest of your life. And then you make it out.
Well, like, also, like, I'm going to Atlanta next week. Like, should I not drink the water?
You should bring like a barrel of water with you.
I wonder how TSA will feel about that. Like me coming in the airport, just like with a gallon of like Costco water. Like, I'm just trying not to get cursed, man. Like, I don't know. I feel like I just shook it last time. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't risk it considering it resulted in the worst day ever.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think I went there last year like 3 times, and I think that I don't know. I'm having a pretty bad year this year, but I feel like that's different. That's different. That's not because I drink
Right. Was there any cults? I was trying to look into cults in Georgia, and I didn't give myself a whole lot of time, but I couldn't find that much. I did find this cult called the Carbon Nation. Did you ever hear about them? Yeah, worst cult name in the world.
Yeah,
there's
what?
like not a lot of info on them. It was led by this guy named Nature Boy. Eventually, he fled to the country, and then he lived in Costa Rica for a while, and then he had to be like hunted down, and now he's in prison for life. So I don't know exactly what he did, and I really tried to look into like the inner workings of his cult, but there's like not a whole lot as far as I can tell. Like I don't know why it's not more covered, because he did seem to have like not like a crazy amount of followers, but a good amount. Anyway, yeah, he seemed like a real like bad dude though. I think I'm sure he's in jail for a reason. Like there's a lot of like abuse and stuff that his former people had to undergo, but I don't know. Anyway, a tangent, but did you ever like know of any cults out there?
Not really, but I mean, I like have personal experience with some culty stuff. I don't know. I like I'm like kind of afraid to talk about cult stuff. I do have like, I mean, there is stuff that I heard about, like people that like were involved with like Freemasonry and like the Order of the Rebeccas, and I mean, I'm as somebody who was raised like pretty deep in religion, like I think that, and like, yeah, I don't know. I think that like inherently religion is pretty culty.
I think the only difference is that like main religions, they just have more buildings than cults. Like if you give a cult a bunch of buildings, it would just boom, there you go. I mean, that's all it took really for Scientology.
Yeah. I think that like I don't know. I think that there was really close to like where I went to high school. If I remember correctly, there was like a nudist colony, which I don't think is inherently a cult.
I'm sure. I don't know. I feel like there has to be some cult-like activity going on.
Yeah, there was like this one crazy thing that happened when I was in church, and like churches, especially. So like I did go to like a mega church. I went to this place called maybe I shouldn't say the name, but like I went to this place called Free Chapel Worship Center, and it is like there's a location in California now, like there are locations all over North Georgia. There are locations everywhere, and like my dad was very involved in like the congregation and like did like puppetry stuff in like the children's church and stuff like that. So
what was the character he would do? The apple monster?
Yeah. Apple Monster. He had like a full body puppet that my mom made, and it was Apple Monster, and like there are like videos of him like doing it at like holidays and stuff. It's like my favorite puppet that he had. He did like puppet classes for like this thing called Rangers, which was like the Christian version of Boy Scouts. Yeah, so like he did like a lot of like puppetry stuff when I was growing up, and cool guy. We don't speak, but like anyways, there's this thing called small groups when you're in a big mega church. To have like a sense of fellowship, like people create like smaller groups that are like-minded and stuff. And I know for a fact some of those were culty as like,
oh yeah,
absolutely. There was this one time where like this little girl showed up to Sunday school and she was covered in like little welts that were like bloody. And like she always wore white dresses to church, and like I saw her like at the grocery store sometimes, and like her family was always in white, and like she was like blonde hair, blue eyed, and like just very quiet. And like looking back now, like I was like 6, but like looking back now, I'm like, wow, this girl had like every sign of being in some sort of abusive home.
Yeah.
The whole family was super weird, standoffish. She showed up to like Sunday school one day and she was covered in blood, like little bloody welts. And I remember my Sunday school teacher, and I thought this was a nightmare for a really long time, but I asked somebody that I went to church with, like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago. I was like, do you remember this happening? And she was like, yeah, no, that was real. That happened for sure.
Oh.
And like the little girl, like the Sunday school teacher was like, oh my God, like what happened? And she was like, oh, well, it's just jelly. And like
No.
she was like covered in blood.
What?
And like they were just like open sores, and I don't know like why she was allowed to go to church with like open sores. And she was wearing like a dress that like covered like her arms and stuff, but it was like she was like bleeding through the dress. Like there were just like little welts all over her body, and she was bleeding through the dress. I never saw her again after that, like ever.
Ugh.
Again. I don't like remember her name, but I like that memory is like buried in my freaking brain.
That is so
Yeah.
creepy. I don't.
Yeah.
It's just jelly.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
Like don't understand like what happened there, but I think that like definitely cults were a thing. I mean, like snake handling is a thing, like in the backwoods of Kentucky and North Georgia and stuff like that. I like did know some people that were like in snake handling churches, but like not close enough to like understand anything about it. But like that's a whole crazy thing. I mean, I did read up about it when I was like in my early 20s, because people, when I started traveling, like especially I went to school in Chicago, so like when I moved up to Chicago, like people, like I had a really thick Southern accent when I started college. Like I know that sounds unbelievable, but like this lack of accent is like from practicing, not having one. And when I moved to Chicago, I had a pretty thick one. Not thick for being Southern, but thick for like moving up to the Midwest, I think. And people made fun of me for it all the time.
What?
And something that people made fun of me for about a lot, because I was raised religious, even though like I wasn't really religious at the time, was like that I was like from the backwoods of North Georgia or whatever, like, and like had a super thick Southern accent and was religious. So like obviously I like knew what snake handling was and snake handling churches. And like I had like my parents had joked about that kind of thing a little bit when I was a kid, but like I just didn't really know much about it outside of like, friends who did have family members that were in churches like that, because that was not common, but like it did happen.
Yeah.
And like from my understanding is like you just handle super venomous snakes at church and like dance around with them and stuff, and like it's like a test of faith, like, or whatever. And there are some really like there's this one famous church where the pastor of the church has gotten bitten like 3 or 4 times and like denied antivenom because he wanted Jesus to heal him.
Did he?
To prove he's like, I don't know. When I read about it, I think he was still alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Does he have his own snakes though? Because I feel like can't you take their venom out or something?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know. I don't remember that. But I don't know.
I'm bringing my own snake next time. Be like, this is
handle this one.
Yeah, handle this one. My super angry rattlesnake.
Yeah. But he did get like sick from the
Okay.
bites or whatever. Like he didn't die, but he did get sick. And I think, like there might also just be like maybe a misunderstanding of how snake venom works in the body maybe or something.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Also like Wim Hof exists and people believe him. So like maybe there's something to like the mind over matter thing.
Oh, there definitely there's
yeah.
a certain degree of that for sure.
Yeah, like it's like just kind of I think like a different iteration of like that belief system where like you don't need to be saved by like modern medicine.
Yeah. I was looking into this whole like community of people who it's basically like people who don't think germs exist.
Cool.
You ever heard about that?
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I wish I had that mental freedom.
Me too.
But, like, I don't know exactly like their alternative, but it's basically just like, I don't know. It just ends up, the way it expresses itself is pretty much a bunch of really, really long YouTube videos of them just being like, and, all you sheep out there still worried about germs, wearing your masks. And, yeah, so I'm not sure, like, the internal, but, like, I don't know what they think is causing illness, but I think it's just, it might be similar to just, like, your vibes are off. So, like, that's the only reason you ever get sick.
Yeah. As someone with contamination anxiety, wow.
Yeah.
I, like you said, like, imagine the freedom of that.
I know, right? You just...
Oh my god. I cannot believe germs are real. My life, I just, like, am, like, deeply thinking about, like, how different my life would be if I didn't believe germs are real. How much time I would save in my day.
You're right.
How, like, nausea would not be a feeling I feel, like, 75% as much as I do, you know?
If you're pure of heart, you just never get sick.
Oh, God, I wish I was pure of heart.
I know, me too. But I'm slime of heart.
Yeah. But also, like, I mean, like, I guess this isn't really, like, on the topic of culties, but, like, I think culties. Nice. What a cute word. Culties.
That's very cute.
But, like, the evangelical mind, like, I mean, I think, like, during, like, the first Trump era, a lot of us were talking about, like, that, like, mindset, like, faith or whatever. Like, I think, like, the evangelical mind and, like, brainwashing and stuff is, like, so insanely powerful and, like, fascinating to think about. And, like, the lack of, like, when you read up on, like, Appalachian lore, like, my grandparents specifically had, like, a lot of really crazy lore that they would tell me about, like, Appalachia and stuff. And, like, just, like, I think about that and, like, how far removed people of the South are from some of that really, really tangible, like, the tangible events that have happened in Appalachia that are, like, insane to think about, but, like, also, like, the kinds of, like, witchcraft, like, people were practicing in Appalachia until really recently, and, like, even still in some parts, but, like, the, like, complete disconnect now people have because religion is so pervasive in North Georgia and Appalachia, and just, like, the witchy stuff my mother does, and, like, she told me to send this to her, so she's gonna be like, what do you mean?
I'm not a witch.
But just, like, the stuff that she does and, like, some of the stuff that she believes that, like, she is, like assumes is informed by Jesus or whatever, but, like, is definitely informed by, like, weird Appalachian lore and just, like, some of her anxieties and stuff. And, like, just, I don't know, just some of the stuff that, like, she grew up, like, not wanting us to, like, know about or whatever. Like, I think just, like, the evangelical mind that exists in North Georgia and, like, just, like, the Appalachia region in general is fascinating and is why I think cults, like specifically, like, Christianity is a cult, because it is insane the brainwashing that had to happen for people to just be completely disconnected from all of the really intense, like, witchy stuff that was going on in Appalachia until really, really, really recently. Like, you can't acknowledge that, like, it's not culty without, like, I don't know what I was going to say there.
No, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Wow, I would love to learn more about, like, the original Appalachian magic system or folk magic. I don't know what you even call that religious system.
I have no idea. I mean, like, Appalachia is really, really cool to learn about, and I wish that it's something that, like, my family leaned more into. It's something that I really wish I had like paid more attention when my grandma was alive too, because I didn't really think about it too much until my grandma passed away. Like we did have some like really deep, cool conversations about stuff that she like experienced as a kid and stuff before she passed. But like she got married when she was like 11 or something, and like she had just like really crazy stories about stuff her mom would tell her, like things that happened. But like what's really cool about like the Appalachian region is, and I think a lot of people that like talk about the spooky, scary stuff that happens in Appalachia don't really talk about like why Appalachia is so cool and like so closed off from the world. But like people, like Romani people immigrated there during like the Holocaust, and like even before that, and like Scots-Irish people moved there during like their genocide. Like it has like a lot of like roots of fleeing and like protection, and like it's like they're among other, I think, like slaves hid away in the Appalachian Mountains and like the forest. And there's like the Mungans, which are like now I guess a lost race of people that existed in Appalachia. I don't know much about it, but like there are like really, really weird YouTube videos you can watch about the Mungans. And like they don't really understand like where they came from or like what their like ancestral roots were, because they like had like, they were like black kind of, but like people called them like different, like a bunch of different stuff. Like they think that they were just like Caribbean like slaves that were brought here and like escaped. So like a lot of people basically sought Appalachia, like that region, as like a nurturing area, and like sought
cool.
safety there. And it was really, really closed off. And like a lot of the cultural stuff that happens there, and like a lot of the creepy stuff that's going on there still, like I think is informed by like the like when people are fleeing from trauma, like they're bringing that trauma with them, I think.
Right.
And like there's just so much like residual energy from like all of those people coming into Appalachia to hide and be safe. And like they're also bringing like, like Irish paganism, I guess. Like I don't actually know if it was, I'm pretty sure it's paganism.
Right,
yeah, like Celtic stuff. I don't know. And like also like whatever the Roma people were doing, I don't know.
It's got to be really cool and interesting, though. I mean,
yeah, like a whole traveling culture, like
yeah,
and then like also like slaves coming from like all of these different regions of Africa with like all of their different religions too, and just like all of that culminating in like one spot. And like there's, I mean, you can't deny energy, whatever, like paranormal stuff or not, like energy happens, and like there's so much like cultural influence in that area that like I don't think there's like any one type of magic that happened there or still happens there, and like when you, and also like the Appalachian Mountains are so old, like they're older than like dinosaurs. They've been around forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Right.
And like I don't know if you've ever been that far east, but like
no, I haven't.
No, it like is, and I talk to people about this, and sometimes people look at me like I'm crazy, but like there is like such an energy there. It is insane. Like it like. When I moved here because I was like also kind of fleeing, and like it feels so much lighter here, and it's because it's younger and like just energetically, like even as somebody that's like not very spiritual, which like after everything I've said, it sounds like BS, but like
no, I mean, I don't know. I think that's common.
Yeah. Like it's just like as somebody that's not very spiritual, it like feels like now that I've been here for like 8 years, I'm like, oh, and I like go back home. It feels so heavy, and I used to think that was just because like I have personal trauma there or whatever, and I think that's part of it for sure. But like it is just like energetically so intense in the Appalachian region, and like here it is so light, and like there's just like so much, like still a really intense history, but like it's just younger. It's been around less time. Like there's like prehistory going on in Appalachia.
Yeah, Lovecraftian just forces of nature were just there forever and ever and ever, and then a bunch of people moved in. They're like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah. I think some people just don't like it, but it's amazing. I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I really need to go there. Try to see if I can handle the vibes. having grown up here, apparently I'm just some old spring chicken out here in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm about to face the Appalachian vibes.
You're all spring chickens. You can't handle the hoodoo.
You hear that? You hear that, spring chickens out there?
You could never go to Lake Lanier and come out unscathed.
Yeah, the catfish would just immediately, they would jump up on the beach to get you. You wouldn't even have to go in the lake.
The Dawsonville demons will absolutely possess you. Can I threaten people on the radio?
Absolutely.
Yeah, anyway.
Oh, man. All right. I mean, do you have anything else? It's almost time.
No, I don't think so. I think I could just like ramble on about like Appalachian
Yeah.
roots all day, but
Wow. That was amazingly cool. Thank you. Thank you for, I did not really know what to expect, but those stories were really, really fascinating. I love history. I like weird, scary stuff, and so that was the perfect mix.
I'm glad you enjoyed my rambling because I was hoping to do like a deeper dive into Dawson Forest, but honestly, like compared to Lake Lanier, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it's the real star of the show.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. She's beauty. She's great. She's scary. Do not swim in Lake Lanier. If you ever go to Georgia, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
You
Do
can
your
go-
research first, maybe. I don't know.
You can go to the old nuclear site though. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just-
I did want to say really quick though, I think, go to that building. Like, there's not a lot of information about where everything is or was or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, I do think that I've been to, like the big structure.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was like too thick to like tear down, so they boarded up all the windows with metal, I think.
Yeah, it's like cemented and metal and like it's crazy. Like it is insane.
So cool.
And I went there like in the middle of the night. And again, one of the worst nights of my life. So probably don't do that either.
All right. Solid advice.
Yeah. Don't go.
Don't go to the place that just melted a bunch of deer with a with a nuclear reactor, because it'll be scary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's all for Destiny for the day. So
Thanks for letting me go on and on.
of course, anytime. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.